At this time, I just want to introduce the stage guests that were not included in the second general session. To right of Chancellor Baker is Dr. Kimba Chambers, immediate past president and executive vice president of instructional services at Trenton State Community College. And next to Dr. Chambers is Dr. Cynthia Anthony, ACCA executive assistant and parliamentarian and executive vice president and dean of students at Lawson State Community College. To left of Mr. Ben Jordan is Ms. Jessica Davis, treasurer of ACCA and vice president of financial affairs at Coastal Alabama Community College. And next to Ms. Davis is Ms. Janice Stacks, ACCA secretary and human resources specialist at Bevel State Community College. At this time, I will ask Dr. Kimba Chambers to come forward to introduce the Chancellor.
Good morning. I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our Chancellor. Mr. Jimmy Baker is a native of Coffee County, Alabama. He earned a BS degree in Business Administration from Troy University, a graduate degree in Economics and Education Administration, and an Education Specialist degree from Auburn University. War Eagle. I slid that one in. Something I did not know about the Chancellor until recently this weekend is that he also served for 6 years in the U.S. Army Reserves. Professionally, he has taught high school, coached football and basketball, served as assistant superintendent, superintendent of education for the Daleville Board of Education, superintendent of the Coffee County Board of Education, and appointed to serve as the state of Alabama's Assistant State Superintendent of Education and Finance. After serving as president of an investment banking firm, Mr. Baker managed the gubernatorial campaign for Governor Bob James. He was appointed as state finance director and developed and assisted in the passage of the funding formula known as the Foundation Program. Later, he was appointed as Deputy State Superintendent of Education and implemented the new funding program. He later returned to the Finance Department as Director during Governor James' administration. Throughout his career, he has been instrumental in the development of partnerships with businesses, including medical evacuation, real estate development, and governmental affairs. As an educator, he has chaired and served on numerous committees, including the Alabama Textbook Committee, the State Tenure Commission, and the Alabama Association of School Administrators. After joining the Alabama Community College system, first serving as governmental affairs consultant, he was appointed Chief of Staff. Mr. Baker was appointed as acting chancellor in August 2016, and on March 2017, he was named chancellor of the Alabama Community College system. He is married to Joy, a retired teacher, and they are the parents of 2 daughters and proud grandparents to 4 grandchildren. After the video, please help me to welcome to the podium Chancellor Jimmy Baker.
Life doesn't wait for you. Ended up having a child and a family of my own, and by then, you know, I still just had a high school education.
I was always scared of transitioning from high school to college.
I never knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was in high school.
I spent 21 and a half years in the military, and there's not a lot of call for that kind of work, reconnaissance and security in the civilian world, so I was struggling to find a job.
People want experience. You can't get experience while going to college.
I wasn't fully satisfied with my career.
I really thought I was too old to go to school.
It's definitely been able to give me a head start on what college life is going to be like.
Going into college, it was like crazy because I was already ahead. Because of the dual enrollment, I didn't have to take certain classes.
You don't have these massive classes. It's more individualized, I think. I feel like you connect with your instructors more.
From the very first day, I had every instructor their personal phone number. They were very interested in making sure that we understood what we were doing.
Truly, if I had not gone to Enterprise State Community College and the resources there were not available, I don't know if I would have gone to college right off the bat. I certainly wouldn't be 2 years debt-free.
We were able to create a schedule that allowed me to still get my hours at work while attending the class.
It was like a jump start. It put me right back to where I was with my peers again.
I graduated March the 5th, March the 7th, I was on the job.
One of the friends that I met in the class, and we went to a job fair in Tuscaloosa, and we both came away with jobs.
I got an internship here at APR, which eventually led to getting hired on.
I don't have to go work at a job that I can't stand anymore. You know, just to pay the bills. Now I can go do something that I enjoy doing and still make a better living than what I was doing.
Before I graduated, I had interviewed with 4 different hospitals. I had job offers from 3 of the 4, and the 4th one called me back after I accepted the position here.
I mean, being 21, I have a paid off 2017 Mustang. You know, that's probably not a lot to other people, but to me, that's, you know, I got my own car now.
I hold down a mortgage, and I'm just 22.
You're gaining the work experience that employers are looking for on top of furthering your education and getting the degree that you seek.
I owe my career and the start of my career to Enterprise State Community College because they laid those initial building blocks and that foundation for me.
But it's not about being a degree mill, it's literally about setting you up for success and if they can, getting you that employment that we all really want.
Good morning. After listening to the previous guest speaker, I kind of just thought I might just say amen and sit down. But there's some other thoughts. I've said this to you over and over, and I say it only because I absolutely believe it and know it to be true. The community college system has the best opportunity and is the best positioned organization in the state of Alabama to change this state. And you only change this state by changing life after life after life. I get excited when I think about that. And I was sitting here earlier and trying to, I guess, maybe write my speech. And every year about this time, between Memorial, holidays, and Thanksgiving, I read a letter that I've had a number of years. Actually, the letter was penned back during World War II. This is a personal story. My father, along with 3 brothers, served during World War II. He lost his youngest brother in Europe, and he was buried there. About 20 years ago, my mother and dad spent 3 months touring Europe. And somehow in the course of events, he found his brother's grave in one of the U.S.-maintained burial grounds in Europe. And he made a picture, or he had a picture made, of he and my mother at the gravesite. I'd never given much thought to that. He sent a copy of that picture to each of his brothers and sisters. And one day I was looking at it and I said, well, Dad, what were you thinking about when you were standing there for this picture? He said, son, I was thinking about the last conversation I ever had with my brother. I dropped him off at the train station. In our conversation on the way to the train station, he said, Charles, my dad was Charles, I just want to make a difference. And he said that's always stuck with me. And that's always stuck with me. His brother's name was James Baker. Mine's Jimmy. They were afraid to name me James. I didn't think much about it, maybe except on occasion, until after my parents passed. In the course of cleaning out and going through papers, I came across a letter, which I still have, and I read it every year. The letter was from the company commander from James's unit. And in the letter he wrote, I'll assure you, James made a difference. That's always stuck with me. But what also sticks with me is what we heard this morning, the message that was delivered, can be a message that is meaningful to everyone in this state. It's because I really believe that if we approach what we're doing with an attitude that we're going to do whatever we have to do to make a difference, it may mean not doing the same thing you did last year. It may literally mean some class schedules are changed from one part of the day to another. It may mean a lot of things, but it should mean, in its final analysis, we're doing everything we can to help every student that we possibly have a chance to touch. And sometimes it's hard to do that. There'll always be naysayers around who have different ideas. There'll be people around who don't want to go to the trouble of making a change. I believe there will be. I don't believe anyone's in this audience would be in that shape. What I want to do is encourage you to solicit buddies. I think as we go about the business of growing this system into a literal machine that is about students and success and improvement, if you co-opt someone into understanding the message and convince them to go with you as we begin the process. Technology is not something new to us. We've been talking about it. I remember, Matt, when we started Bring Your Own Device in a secondary education program, and people thought we were crazy. I'm not a very good technician. All of you know that. I began to wonder about the film. Interestingly enough, I've never used video. I've never used tape. I've always said I've never had a problem. It always has worked because I never used it. And then I use it. And but it worked finally. It worked finally. But folks, I'm serious about this. It's not going to be easy. But if you get involved and you love what you're doing and you see the benefits of what you're doing, as we move forward, success will make it easy for you. That's when you have fun. When you have fun, when you have that kid who walks in your room or in your office or just walks up to you and says, look, I appreciate what you're doing. When you have that young mother who's trying to raise a kid and some way find a way to get in a position where they can make a living, and you help them find that way, I think that's important. And when you multiply it time and time again in your schools, that's important. Look, so many times we go to work and we're worried about the construction project or the equipment or whatever the case may be, or is a budget on time, you know, those kind of rules and regulations we deal with. That's just part of life and part of the job. But the real job is moving forward, making sure that we are student-centered. Over the course of this next year and longer, we're going to become more and more student-centered. We're going to join hands together and we're going to work together. I certainly don't have all the answers. Many of you have been exposed to a lot more than I have in terms of answers. But collectively, working together with open minds and an open spirit about how we move forward. Look, it's not yesterday. It can't be yesterday. I'm going to embarrass someone. Reggie was on the stage earlier. It delights me when I get reports where there's been a meeting concerning Bishop and about 30 industry leaders in this community stands up and talks about, forget the old stories of Bishop. We're in a new era. We're moving forward. We're changing things. And I'm not talking about just small. I'm talking about the Austals and the Airbus and others. Those of you that have been around a while, you know what a change that had to be. We've had our scars. That's in the past. I want us to stay focused on doing everything we can possibly do. And we're going to do everything we can do, working with you from my office, to make sure that we make the progress that this state needs. So I'm a native of this state. Most of you are. We all want to be able to brag about our state. We've got great football teams, big basketball teams, whatever you want. That isn't what it's about. I was so delighted a few weeks ago when my senior in high school came to me and we were talking. And he finally told me, he said, "Granddaddy, I've decided football's not nearly as important as I thought it was." His life previously had been almost like getting to Auburn and watching them play football. He's beginning to think about his future and his career. And we need to help our students reach those points. I'm not negative about football. I don't take it that way. I'm just saying there are a lot more things that are more important than that about the business that we're doing. I look at our schools. We have some great management. I suspect that we may have some management that needs to be refocused. When I look at and begin to dig down into data, and I see classes where 50% of the students fail, I couldn't believe it when I saw a music class. Now, I can understand how I might fail music if you were asking me to strum a guitar and sing a song. But if you're asking about the music history, I don't know how I could fail that. So we're going to have to get more methodical in looking at data. And in light of that, I want to express my appreciation for all of the support that has been forthcoming from your schools, because we are going through a tremendous change with our software programs, our ERP system, and you have been unbelievably supportive. I think that has shocked some people, but I think it was being driven by your understanding of the need to have good data. I want to be in a position where the community college system can stand up and say, this is what we are doing, and this is the progress we're making, and this is what our commitment is. And it takes a lot of effort on your part, but just so many of you have just said, let's put our shoulders to the grind rock and let's push and shove and let's make this happen. I recognize that's important when I'm dealing with the legislature, because some of you, most of you, are telling your legislators what you're doing. That's good, and I want you to continue to do that. I don't know that I need to say a whole lot beyond that. You've had some very good sessions. I've heard some very good discussions. I know that it's not a matter of can we figure out how to do it. It's a matter of getting committed to doing it, and then for everyone in our system to be committed. I was somewhat taken aback the other day when I was talking and someone told me that their faculty objected to posting their office hours. We have to be sensitive about all of that. I couldn't imagine that. I'm not saying it wasn't true. I'm just saying it's hard to imagine that. And there'll always be someone sitting on the sideline drawing a paycheck who's not willing to move forward, who's not willing to participate in improving the process of providing opportunities. We'll just have to learn to deal with that. And we have to be not afraid to deal with that. We're going to support you in your efforts to make sure that everyone that is pulling a paycheck out of your bank account is working with you as we move forward together. Again, I want to be one that is committed to making a difference. I want you to be committed. And the reason I want you to be committed is because it matters. It matters what you do and how you impact the lives of the students that we serve. And as we move forward, I'm excited about the fact that we have a large cadre of employees that is totally committed to that. I feel good about the prospects of you co-opting friends and neighbors in your school to let's join together and move forward. And I also feel good about your ability and willingness to just discard those angry folks who don't want to be a part of progress. But if you co-opt them enough, I believe we can have almost 100%. I've watched you over this last 2 days. I'm proud of every employee that we have. Occasionally we have to deal with unpleasant situations, but practically speaking, we're a blessed group of folks. And I want the public to know, I want the state to know that we are moving forward with every method that we possibly can agree upon and work with to improve the offerings to the people of this state. Alabama is positioned in a good position today. Revenue is coming in at a level not projected. But it's not all money. I've never bought the argument that we can't do so and so because we don't have the money. I think that becomes an excuse. Now, I'm not going to debate. Having more money is good. Having the adequate amount of money is good. But we can't use money as an excuse for not doing everything that we possibly can do to move forward. So as we go forward, I plead with you that we're going to do everything we can to help provide leadership and opportunities for you to participate. And let's become the talk of this country. I'm not satisfied with just being the best in the state of Alabama. I believe we have the ability to become the major community college system in this country. We have the people. We're going to make that kind of commitment. Let's be smart with what we do, and let's work together and make this the system that all of you want it to be. And I appreciate everything you do. I continue to hear good stories all the time. I kind of bury some other stories that I don't like to talk about. But I'm confident that the leadership exists in the group of people in this room and others, that we can accomplish everything that we choose to accomplish if we team together, we join together, and we move forward. I don't think I need to talk anymore. I'll get my notes if you want me to read. But I don't want to do that. I think you've heard a great message earlier. I just want to solicit from you a commitment that in your own heart, you're willing to make a commitment to make a difference and be a leader in bringing about the kinds of things that need to happen in our schools and the kinds of things that will make us a happy group of folks because we have done the job of serving the students. And with that, I appreciate everything you do, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you.